Hey there! One of the most common questions that I get asked by other aspiring makeup artists is, how do I book more clients? I'm Sue Louise and I have been a freelance professional makeup artist for 19 years now, and I'm passionate about helping the next generation of makeup artists become more successful freelancers. Now obviously, to become a successful freelancer, you need to have clients. The more clients you have, the more successful that you'll be. But just where do you go to find those clients? A lot of people use a lot of different methods, from advertising to joining other teams of makeup artists to using social media. And as I said, it's one of the most common questions that I do get asked. So where do you think that I get my clients from, or the most of my clients? Is it through my agency, my socials, my website, or advertising? Actually, it's none of those. The number one source of all my inquiries and bookings, and what I consider to be my secret weapon for success as a freelance makeup artist, is referrals from other makeup artists. Now, right from the beginning of my career, I've made a point of making friends, or at least forming business relationships with other makeup artists. And in the beginning, this was out of necessity, as you know, I was new and I wanted to find advice and I needed help from other artists. But as I grew, I realized that referring work to and from other artists was a great way for me to boost my business. Now, I don't think it was ever really a conscious decision for me to make friends with a whole bunch of other makeup artists. It just kind of happened that way. You know, we're asking each other advice, talking about different clients and suppliers in our market, and of course, talking about all the great products that we wanted to be using with our clients. Way back at the beginning of my career, I always remember receiving an email one day, and it was a very simple email, and the email just said, "What do you charge for brides and bridesmaids?" Nothing really, out of the ordinary with that email. However, the person that had sent it, the name of the person that had sent it, rang a bell with me. I'm like, that's the name of a makeup artist in the town where I live. I wonder if she's trying to find out what pricing I charge. Now, this is a whole nother story about the right way and the perhaps not so great way to find out what your fellow artists are charging. But I sent her a message back and I said, "Hey, are you this person, the makeup artist, or is it just a coincidence?" And she came back to me and said, "Oh yes, it is me. I'm the makeup artist. I'm looking at someone to refer other work to," which was great for me, right? We ended up becoming really good friends, referring a lot of work to and from each other. And even when my business became that busy that I was hiring subcontractors to go out and work for me, I still used to refer work to this artist, and she continued to refer work to me as well. So when we talk about referring work to other makeup artists, and when I talk about this secret weapon, it actually goes both ways. So there's obviously getting bookings and getting referrals from other artists, but there's also giving, whether that be referrals or other things, but giving and getting go hand in hand. So it's kind of two sides of the same coin. Now, if you're a brand new artist, you might be thinking, well, how can I give referrals out? I don't even have enough work for myself. There's a lot of other things that you can give, which could perhaps prompt other artists to refer work to you. Now, when I say this, it's really important that you don't give with the expectation that you're going to get something in return. There's this thing that I like to call the universal law of referrals. Now, this might be a little bit out there and hippie for some of you, but I believe that every time you give something or you refer work out to someone, you're going to get the same in return. Now, it may not be from that artist that you originally referred to, but it will come back to you in some way. Now, even if you don't have work to give out, there are other things that you can give out as well. So if you are brand new and you're wanting to network with other artists and form these sort of relationships, then some of the other things that you can do are obviously to engage a lot with that person on their social media. If you set up a notification so that you're notified every time they post and you go and like and comment on their posts, you're actually really going to be helping them to be expanding their reach and therefore expanding their business on social media. And it also has the added bonus of really bringing you into their radar. They're going to notice, hey, this person's commenting every time I post. Who is this? They're going to go and look at your work. And that is going to be a way for you to kind of start the ball rolling and get to know that person. One of the things that I recommend to artists is that you find your circle. Find those 3 to 5 other artists in your area whose work is of a similar standard to yours. You've got the same kind of style of work, and that you also charge the same prices. And then between that circle, you can refer work to and from one another. And one of the things that I'm seeing a lot at the moment, I think, is where an artist will go into a Facebook group for other artists and just post, I'm looking for an artist on this date. I often wonder when I see these sort of posts, like, what is the actual motivation behind that? Because honestly, if you are posting in a group and getting a whole bunch of artists to either comment, email you, or DM you, then what do? Do you sift through those responses and give those to the client, or are you giving all of them to the client? To me, it seems like a whole lot of work, rather than having your trusted 3 or 4 or 5 or however many artists and just sending that list to your client. So if you can't do a job, just sending on a list of other people that can. In my mind, that way is going to work a lot better, because not only are you referring people who do have a similar standard of work to you, you're going to know their work ethic, so you know that they're not going to flake on you. And as I said, hopefully it comes back in return to you in the form of other referrals back to you at a later date. And thinking again about this, people who post into Facebook groups or put out blanket calls. Now, obviously, if you've exhausted all your avenues to find a referral, that might be something to do. But, some people tend to do the same thing over and over and over. And in my mind, I would never refer work to that sort of person, because it doesn't really encourage loyalty. So if someone's always out there posting in a group, to me, that doesn't say, well, if I refer work to them, they're going to refer work back to me, because they'll probably just keep posting in the group anyway. Obviously, there's a lot of artists out there, and this is all about looking at other artists as your colleagues and not your competition. Now, some people will argue and say, well, Sue, there's a lot more artists out there now than when you first started, and that is probably true. Well, at least a lot more visible artists, a lot more artists that have a presence on social media, which didn't exist when I first started. And, so I think that there probably are a lot more makeup artists out there. But by the same token, there's also a lot more opportunities out there. There's a lot more work. Back when I first started, it was quite rare to do makeup for someone's formal or graduation or prom, whatever you call it in your part of the world. Whereas that forms a big part of a lot of freelance makeup artists' business now. There also wasn't e-commerce stores, because the internet was kind of only in its infancy, and that can be a really big source of work for a lot of artists, and a source of really regular work for artists as well. So yes, there are more makeup artists, but there's also more opportunities for us. So definitely consider other artists as your colleagues and not your competition. And I think that that is really going to help you to take advantage of this secret weapon. Now, last and not least, it's what happens when you do receive a referral from another artist. Now, one of the things I always do whenever someone calls me to book or to make an inquiry is I always ask them where they found me. Was that social media or whatever? And very often they will say, oh, I was recommended by such and such a person. So the first thing that I will do then is I go back and I just send a little text message or, send a DM through Instagram or whatever to that referring artist, thanking them so much for the referral. So I hope that these tips have helped you today, and I hope that you will consider going out and finding your circle and boost your own business through that secret weapon of getting referrals from other makeup artists. So if you've enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel and hit the bell so that you'll be notified next time I upload a video. Thanks again for watching, and bye for now.